short, 142 feet and 8 inches for Kenneth Yuen tonight. Here is Paula Yuen, 88 Chevy, nice sized engine, well over 600 cubic inch. And we'll see if she can do what husband Kenneth could not. I would think after watching several runs here tonight, Paula has had plenty of time, Mike, to choose the right gear for her trip down the track.
Oh, you can bet that if any decisions have been made, she made them. You know, this lady doesn't just sit there and drive the truck. She has a lot of input into what the truck does. They cut a couple of little struts out of it today. Kenneth had welded a couple of little pieces of iron from the body to the frame. That's the only thing they can think of that stopped this truck from hooking. Let's see if it helps.
Not tonight. And I think there was a great example of that track, and you can almost see the sand come flying up. You know, the tracks are indigenous to the area that the pull is held in, and being in Florida, you would expect a sandy type of track, and that's what we're seeing tonight. 140 feet and 2 inches for Paula Yuen out of Oklahoma City. The black gold does not make the pull-off. Who knows what power lurks behind the wheel of this truck? Only the shadow.
This shadow has got a good chance of taking it out.
Mike Slater, Grand Blanc, Michigan. Pretty truck. Mike also with his two-wheel drive truck here tonight. And there's a great shot of Mike. $50,000 is what he thinks he has invested in this truck. It is a gorgeous piece of machinery.
I think Mike's got as good a chance of taking it out as anyone here. Let's see.
Yeah, nice idea. He tried the near side of the track, which no one has tried so far, but it still wasn't there at the end.
I thought that was a place to be, Ken. No one had been on that side, but boy, the bike sure wasn't there for the shadow. And Mike Slater, he had a good idea, really put the truck to a test, but the test came up short for him. He was mowing down the markers as he went down the track, which doesn't make any difference. The truck stayed inbounds. Let's watch it as it goes down the track.
He really played chicken with the line, didn't he?
He really stayed close to it all the way down, and he just, you know, he's running 6-8 inches off the line, and you see the right there that's going to knock down a marker. We got one that time. That's fine. The truck stayed in bounds. It was a good hook all the way around, but like so many before him, he's short of full pull.
The shadow eclipsed tonight by the track. 140 feet and 7 inches for Mike Slater. And there's a sled on every corner. And his picture hangs in City Hall because in Truck Pull City, USA, a.k.a. Turlock, California, there's only one name that stands out. It's Dan Quayle. He's got a full pull already tonight in the Red Rabbit, and now he tries it again in the Wild Hare. Similar trucks in style, but each has their own little personality, don't they, Mike?
Oh, most definitely. President of Danco Trailers. They make all sorts of trailers. This one is his get down and pull truck. This is one he built for competition. It's a Hemi dive.
That's as close as anybody's come since Quayle went out the door with his other truck.
Let me tell you one thing. He's giving these boys and men and ladies a lesson in truck pulling tonight.
There's the Rabbit again. Dan Quayle. Ditches the hat, puts on the cap, backs out. The Wild Hare, 146 feet. 2.5 inches.
Makes him 1 and 2.
He is 1 and 2. He's got a full pull with one truck, and the Wild Hare is now in place. Do you know in Orlando? This is Ken Broo with Mike Gallaway, and in four-wheel drive competition tonight, there was no better performance than Dan Quayle. Small change finished third. It was Wild Hare, also a Quayle truck, in second place. But it was the Red Rabbit with the full pull that wowed them all tonight. Let's go trackside to Dan. Dan, I guess first of all, congratulations, but second of all, I guess having the first draw tonight didn't hurt you at all, did it?
No, that probably helped a little bit. It was a good, clean track, although I think the track stayed together pretty good. It sure didn't hurt a bit.
What about the second truck, Dan? Did you learn a little bit off the first hook? When you came back with the second truck, everybody was running short, and you went up and put distance on them and went into the number 2 spot.
Yeah, I felt that you had to drive this track, and that's what I did with the second truck. I did hit kind of a hole, and that's, I feel, what kept me from getting into a, making a full pull with the second truck. But I think that's what made the difference, driving the track, and just, it's a tricky track, and I hit it kind of lucky with the first truck, and I learned a lot from it, and it carried on to the second.
You had the Hemis hauling tonight. Congratulations from up here, Dan. A great job.
Thank you.
Dan, before we let you go, can you describe for us the seemingly mythical town of Turlock, California? What is it like?
Well, it's about 32,000 people. Everyone is just real friendly. I don't know what else I could say. It's a great place to live.
Truck pulling capital of the world, isn't it?
Yeah, there's an awful lot of pull trucks in Turlock. We started pulling in Turlock. I built the first four-wheel drive sled that was in California, and so therefore it started there, and it's kind of branched out from there. But there's still a lot of pullers there, and they stayed with it.
Before we let you go, we want to also show you the replay of your pull tonight. We'll begin with the back end of your truck, and we can see the tire bite was just there right from the start to the finish.
Tell us about it, Dan.
Well, I come out kind of slow and easy, and just kind of gradually got into it, and I had the right gear and just the right amount of power. When I got all the way in it, it didn't buzz out of the track, and I think that was the difference between some of the trucks that maybe had either too much horsepower for the gear they were running, and if they had too much for the gear, they buzzed away.
You think the automatic helped you on this pass?
Oh yes, I absolutely did. Yes.
Yeah, it was an automatic type track, wasn't it?
Yes, I think so.
Beautiful job, Dan. We appreciate you, and say hello to everyone in Turlock and your beautiful wife, Shirley.
Thank you.
Dan Quayle, the man of the hour tonight in four-wheel drive and a rabbit for good luck. And we are ready to go with the two-wheel drives. My favorite kind of trucks, because those front ends just go right up in the air. And when you're talking two-wheel drive trucks, you can talk no better than the Kool-Aid Kid. This is Bobby Johns from Moundsville, West Virginia. One whale of a driver. Oh, man, super pull for the Kool-Aid Kid.
Trips with just a beautiful job with this. Bobby Johns, maybe he's got a little advantage. He owns a speed shop, Competition Parts there in Moundsville. And, yeah, he thinks it's number one. You just have to ask Bobby. You don't even have to ask him. He'll just tell you how good he is.
So, Bobby, before we got going tonight, his face was sunburned. I said, Bobby, you been out in the sun? He says, yeah, I've been in trouble all afternoon. It's time to go to work.
And work he did. What a better way you couldn't find to start a two-wheel drive class than with Bobby Johns and the Kool-Aid Kid. The C-Pex turning hard. Bobby into the supercharged motor. Like right off the starting line area. The horsepower's good. The front end bouncing across the top. Beautiful job. Right on the end, of course, the weight transfer machine. The weight is on top of him, picks the front end up, and Bobby Johns has got a great run for him tonight.
Hey, he's called the Kool-Aid Kid, but he was packing some punch tonight. Bobby Johns goes the full distance. It's full tilt boogie for the Kool-Aid Kid. All right, here he is. Alan Gaines, one of the hot names in truck pulling. Alan has given the wheel tonight to Scott Dews, and this is the Orange Blossom Special 2.
Ken, the real Orange Blossom Special train, that one is parked about a half a mile from this arena.
Is that right? Well, here comes the Orange Blossom Special 2.
Did he make it look easy?
Bobby Johns has got some company because the Orange Blossom Special 2 will go to the pull-off.
Listen to this. This young man's 24 years of age. He's been involved in pulling for 12 years.
Well, when Alan Gaines can't drive, who does?
Scott Dews.
Does.
Beautiful job.
Thank you.
For Scott. Watch Scott. I mean, it's perfect. Eases with it just a little bit. Now we're going to trip the trigger. And it's wide open on the Orange Blossom Special. Scott handling the driving chores like the super pro that he is. And a fan is telling him to come on. And he did that. A full pull. Orange Blossom Special gives Bobby Johns some company in the pull-off.
Well, here is Hands Across the Sea. This is the Rice Burner. This is Bill Romsberg. It's, as I think we've pointed out on a number of occasions, a Toyota cab and a Chevy engine. It was good enough to get Bill Romsberg the two-wheel drive championship last year. He is a wonderful man. Mike Gallaway had a chance to talk with him earlier tonight.
Bill Romsberg is the defending national champion. Bill, what's it going to take to win here tonight?
Well, last night we had a little trouble with the traction, so I think we're going to have to lighten the front end up tonight and try to put the bite on the back end of the truck to get it to hook a little better.
How's the track staying? Will it go together?
It stayed pretty consistent, but it didn't come back together. It was a little sandier than normal.
What's your number for tonight?
I think we're 5. That ought to be just about far enough down not to have any track left by the time it's our turn.
We'll see if Bill Romsberg's got track in just a few moments.
Bill Romsberg, the bearded one, behind the wheel of the Rice Burner. A seat, Mike, that sits right in the center of that cab.
There's the Rice Burner. Well, that's a good place to be, Ken, because the simple reason that you can see both sides of the truck. Keep your eye on what's happening right down the middle, and that's what you want. Bill will come storming. Ooh, we've seen it.
Oh.
They're just, you know, knocked on the door, but traction wasn't there. Bill called for the motor early in the pull. The motor barked to life. I thought had a great run, but mid-track with the box coming up on it, you saw the motor begin to lug down a little bit, and it's not going to be a pull-off situation for Bill tonight.
Now, Bill Romsberg with a little rice-a-roly down the track to the tune of 142 feet, 4.5 inches. We'll be right back with the two-wheel drive pull-off here from Orlando in just a moment. We're back in Orlando. Ken Broo with Mike Gallaway all set for the two-wheel drive pull-off. We've got 3. Bobby Johns in the Kool-Aid Kid, and Scott Dews in the Orange Blossom Special 2, and Mike Slater in Darth Invader. The Kool-Aid Kid was the first to go the full distance. He will be the first to pull here right now in the pull-off. Mike, Bobby Johns, always near the money.
Bobby Johns is very, very tough, and he handles his truck well.
I think it's important to point out that the sled has been re-weighted, re-geared for this pull-off, and so you're not going to see the distances that we saw in the first round.
But Bobby sets the pace. This is the mark that the other 2 trucks will have to surpass to take over the lead and to win this. And Bobby Johns puts a real tough mark out there to start with, Ken.
Well, he's got the distance to beat now, 109 feet and 4 inches, so you can see that it is substantially shorter than a full pull. But again, that's due to the re-weight of the box. Next up is Scott Dews in the Orange Blossom Special 2. You know, Mike, of the 3 that are in the pull-off right now, it seemed to me at least that Dews went out the door the easiest on his first pull.
And he did just that, Ken. He went out with more authority, I'd say, than the other 2. The other 2 looked like they just kind of scraped across, but Scott went out and I thought had power left over.
In our business, we call it sharp. He looked sharp on his first pull. And here he is waiting for the green flag, and he has it. Well, he has eclipsed what Johns has done, and then some.
He put the pressure on Mike Slater with that run, just really putting it on him hard. Mike you know, was sitting back there in the last place in this pull-off. That's not a bad place to be. You kind of understand what you've got to do when you get into that situation in the pull-off.
130 feet and 6 inches. Scott Dews bettering the mark of Bobby Johns by more than 21 feet. Well, the third one up is the Darth Invader. Now understand that Mike Slater has watched both Bobby Johns and Scott Dews do their thing. Now Slater knows that he must better 130 feet and 9 inches. The Darth Invader.
What will be the driving style? Will Mike ease it out, or will he go for it all in the starting line? I think he'll go for every bit of it right in the starting line.
There was no ease in that one. He was all business right from the start.
But Scott Dews, as we talked earlier, and there Scott is getting congratulations from Bill Romsberg. Yeah, #1, and Paula, Kathy, all of them congratulating this young man. You know, he's been around this as long as anyone, and we feel like he's just one of our kids. But seeing him grow up in this sport, taking over now driving for Alan, super job on Scott's part.
I wonder if Alan said, "Don't call me unless you win."
I would venture to say that Alan told him something like that.
Yeah.
And they did go over today and look at the original Orange Blossom
Special.
Special.
Did. That's kind of like paying homage to the shrine. Scott Dews, the winner, here in the two-wheel drive pull-off. And we'll have more from Orlando in just a moment.
On Saturday,